Hey, welcome to One More Thing. I'm Jason Marlin. I'm here with Travis Kirkman and Ethan Bray. We are a ministry of First Baptist Kirksville. We're excited about another opportunity to present to you a wonderful discussion, right? What are we going to discuss today? Well, I think we got three awesome topics to discuss. The first one, it's my favorite time of the year. You know what time of the year it is?
Christmas.
Close, but before Christmas comes something else more important. Okay, almost Thanksgiving as well. What comes before Thanksgiving?
Pastor Appreciation Month.
Yeah, we did that. We talked about it already. But in midst of all that comes the budget planning time. Oh, don't you love budget planning?
I actually kind of do.
I really do as well.
No, you guys are on your own on that one.
Do you not like it really, or have you really ever done it?
Sadly, well, I budget for us at our house. Okay. I'm not good at math, so it's not my strong suit.
Yeah. So tell me why do you like the budget process?
I mean, so many reasons. Where to begin? I'm like a numbers guy, and so I like to see like what our numbers were, the year before, what we can change.
Yeah.
I love to think about the different ministries and the stuff that's going on in the church and how we can budget for the things.
Yeah. So there's always kind of a thought on like, how do you budget? Like, do you budget like, I get X amount of money in, so I'm going to make a budget for that amount of money? Mm-hmm. Do you budget that way? Or do you project and say, oh, I think I'm going to get that amount of money in, so I'm going to budget for that amount? So what are your thoughts on those two?
I think for me personally, it depends. Like I could see either way, honestly. So I don't know what to ruin what you're talking about.
Well, like a vision, but I like vision budgets.
Vision budgeting, yeah,
kind of think like
those are exciting.
Yeah, it's like here's what we want to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I try to portray what we're trying to think through. Like, here's what we want to do next year. So whenever I think through a budget, especially the way we try to portray it at a church or whatever, it's like, here's what we expect God to do next year.
Yeah.
Here we've prayed through this. We've kind of looked at our ministries that we think that are exciting, the things that are moving forward, and here's the things that we're going to focus on. And so it really tells you what ministries we're really emphasizing, and really like for example, like 2 years ago, we really, I would say, took a step of faith, and we brought you on.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the, I think, wisest, one of the best decisions we made, but it was a vision budget and a step of faith as well, because in reality, we weren't, we didn't have that in the budget planned, and secondly, we weren't getting the income for that to actually happen. Mm-hmm. So that was something that we were.
So, Ethan, we're going to have to let you go.
Oh, man.
Well, for 2 years, we've succeeded in that. So, so we're excited, and that's continuing. But with that being said, that's still the idea of, hey, if we're wanting to do these things, then that's what we have to plan on, and that's where we're looking at, okay, we've got to give towards the things that are important. That's why I love the mission talks that we kind of give at the offering time, where we kind of say, hey, here's why it's important that we're budgeting and we're giving, because we think Ethan's important. We think our worship team is important. We think the children, and able to take care. Like, we've been blessed here at our church over the last 10 years, especially since I've been here, to really fund a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, this isn't really normal for churches, I don't think, but our church has really done an awesome job, I would say. Like, if the youth group goes to Super Summer, we pretty much take care of the majority of the expenses in that. Mm-hmm. Or if the ladies have a Bible study, we pretty much take the expense of books and et cetera and all that. And that's because we have recognized that those are investments, and that we want to do that. So this is my favorite time of the year. So let me tell you, what are some things next year that you envision? What are some things that you've got looking forward to?
Well,
yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Putting me on the spot.
I know you weren't ready for that, were you?
Well, I know for us, I got your back, Travis. I mean, just starting right off the get-go in January, we're taking a bunch of college kids. I think we're up to 17 or 19 college students to go to this ministry conference to really, they call them out, are you being called to the ministry? And so it's just a great time of worship, prayer, faithful preaching that our church is helping send college students to go get fed at the beginning of the year in January. So that's a huge thing for our college ministry. We actually saw some kids even just start coming to our college ministry from the trip last year that we got to take. And so this budget obviously, like you just said, supports those type of things. And then summer, youth kids, whether it's Super Summer, D-Nows, all these things coming down the pipeline, this money helps fund those types of things that they get to do.
Well, I know I'll help you out a little bit, Travis. Like I know last year, like you did a lot of creative things on the stage. Mm-hmm. You helped
interpretive dance.
Well, no, you did awesome lighting.
Yeah, we did.
Our
lighting,
podcast, like microphones and TV, all these things that don't just people think they just happen, but they don't just happen. I mean, this whole podcast setup. I mean, even all this didn't just happen. Well, I mean, it was really part of your budget that you worked through and that you tried to make happen. And I think hopefully it's a success and people are gleaning some good information and being discipled through this.
Yeah, and talking about that too, like we always have to decipher. We do the Living Christmas Tree every other year. It's this year, and so when we did the budget last year, we're doing Living Christmas Tree, and so we need to put funds where they need to be in order to help pay for all the Living Christmas Tree stuff and the sets and all that kind of stuff. So I get what you're saying, man. Budgets rule.
Well, so we're going to do this year. So my encouragement, just to everybody listening, would just simply be understand that that's part of reality, and probably reality in your life, but a reality in the church as well. And think about funding our church. Think about the ministries that we're doing, so that we can most effective reach our city. Whether it's college kids, whether it's the Living Christmas Tree, whether it's this podcast, whatever it is, help us reach this city and the world for the gospel of Christ. Oh, one more thing.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
One more thing.
When people give,
yeah,
their offering or their tithe, and they, use the big word designate and all that stuff. If they don't designate, what happens to their tithe when it just goes into the?
It just goes into the general fund, and we use that for all ministries.
Okay.
So it just,
and then they can designate as well. They could designate, hey, I want to give this money to the worship budget or the youth budget, or can they do that as well?
I mean, I guess they can. We don't normally do that, but I mean, I think that's. I don't know. I guess they could, but we don't normally do that.
Okay. You might have to cut that because
no, that's fine.
I thought people designate funds.
No,
I think they designate funds to certain projects, but when it comes to just ministry things, I think it's just the general fund. So then we can use it to our discretion. Like, what we think we need.
This is a great discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of designated funds. In fact, they used to be like there used to be like 50 designated funds here, and like the sad thing about designated funds is
they're restricted.
They're restricted to designated So if you're
I would say if somebody gives, which has happened in the past, I'm going to give $75 for the worship team, or not the worship team, but whatever it's listed as like a line item there, right?
Yeah.
Worship, there's nothing on our side that says, well, somebody gave $75, so now instead of having $500 left in your budget, now you have $575?
No, because
budget's fake money. It's projected money, and then you have your actual money that comes in.
Yeah. So budget's a plan, and then you do have designated money that's there forever.
Yeah.
So that's what would end up happening. Like you would have somebody, and they could just make something up like, oh, I want to designate money for a new purple sign that says Jason is awesome. I'm going to give $100 for that. But the sign cost $5,000.
Well,
so for years, forever, I've got $100 there because I want a sign that's purple that says Jason is awesome. And nobody can touch it because it's designated for that purpose.
Yeah.
But are we in reality ever going to have a purple sign that says Jason is awesome? No. So
maybe. I don't know.
We could. But you see the point, somebody has designated it for a purpose that in reality we're probably never going to have. So it really doesn't. It's better
To
to
just
just
go to
have
general.
two general fund. Let's all come together and have the plans.
So that's why I wanted to talk about that.
Good.
Because all of our
Makes
thousands of listeners that give, right?
Give to general
Yeah,
fund.
it's just give the tithe, give your
Yes.
offering. Don't put anything specific on it unless it's for
Annie Armstrong,
Annie
Lottie
Armstrong,
Moon,
Lottie Moon.
MMO. Yeah, that's perfect. So give to general fund. In fact, a couple of things. I looked at a few of those things. Like this past year, we had 59 new givers. That was awesome, right?
That's awesome.
Like 59 brand new givers. We have 20 like reoccurring givers that we know that are giving every month. I mean, we could do better than that. Step up, like, with that kind of thing. We have like 175 givers total, that families have that kind of thing. That's pretty awesome. But I would guess, I'm just imagining, there are probably people listening, there are people in our church that aren't giving. And that would help our budget. That would help us do more ministry. So encourage people.
And I think you guys have done, I've only got to be here for 2 years, but you guys have done a really good job of just making it very clear. Yes, your money turns the lights on and keeps the air on, which we all appreciate, especially in January with the heat. But it does fund all the ministries that take place.
Yeah.
And so,
But you said air. Let me touch on most. It does keep the air on.
It does.
And we paid for the air. We've still got $50,000 that we're paying. I mean, we actually borrowed money to pay $400,000 for a new air conditioner unit. That was a big expense.
That is.
And we still owe $50,000 on that. So if anybody want to write me a $50,000 check, I'd love to get that debt out of the way.
That's right.
Debt stinks. And
Yeah.
I would love to get it done.
once we get stuff like that paid off, we have
Then-
more money
then
for
we
like
have
the
freedom.
purple signs.
That's right. That Jason is awesome.
stuff
That's
like
right.
that.
So that's the kind of idea with budget. So we'll be working on that here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be voting on that in November as a church body. So you'll kind of know what we're planning for 2026. Let's move over to the Song of Solomon. This past week was exciting, right? Did you love it?
It was good.
The
It was
wedding.
really good.
Speaking of the wedding, how did you guys love my
I
wedding?
think you got to grow the hair back, man.
Did you like the video that you got to witness? It was kind of a little grainy. Can you believe that was only 25 years ago and how grainy that was?
I have
Man,
only one critique.
What you got?
Because you guys were laughing all week about your accents.
Yeah,
And we didn't get to hear it, man.
Listen.
I mean, everybody, when you were talking about, we were so excited, and then we didn't get to hear it.
No, because it's bad. So
It couldn't have been
Sarah's,
that bad.
it's bad. Sarah's not going to put us on TV with the accents. It's not going to happen. She's too embarrassed for that. So you will not hear us talk on screen with that way.
It was worth a shot.
I guess you could give it a try. But yeah, the wedding in Song of Solomon, I think, was a pretty, beautiful, it's been understood, a pretty picture of why not just marriage, but the wedding service is an important aspect. Anything that you guys learned from your small groups, your life groups that you kind of got to discuss or pick up on?
Trying to remember.
Mm.
It was so long ago. You were there, weren't you, Ethan?
I was. I think
We had a good conversation.
Yeah, one of the, I guess, big takeaways for me is when you talked about like him making her feel safe, right? So he had the 60-plus soldiers. He decked out, whether it was a chariot or chair or something, made her show like she was secure going from her mother's home to his home. But then just like as a young husband, like, do I make my wife feel like that all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it was 2 weeks ago, you said like asking the same questions throughout your marriage, not just before you get married. It was the similar like concept that we kind of were talking about, like as men, like am I providing like for Alze in such a way that she feels protected, she feels secure, she feels safe. And so I think that was a big one. And then we just talked about too, like, could we remember our wedding day, and it was funny, like we all remembered funny stories from other people's weddings, but when it comes to ours, it was pretty much
We
like,
didn't remember much.
well, we don't remember that much. So yeah.
That was good.
Well, what about, as I thought it was interesting to think, one of the most different thoughts that I had was when Josh Howard, I don't know if you know, he's a pastor there in Texas or whatever, and he made a quote that really I found interesting, and he was really talking about like your mother, like in-laws.
Yeah.
And when he was talking about in-laws, he was talking about whenever a lot of times people say, oh, my son's getting married, so I'm gaining a daughter. Mm-hmm. And he kind of made this whole kind of thought. He's like, that's really the wrong mindset. It's not that you're gaining a daughter, it's that you're losing a son. Because now this new family, this new family, he's leaving his mother and father and cleaving to his wife.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we kind of understand that a lot of family problems, a lot of in-law problems happen because that leave and cleave really doesn't happen. And
But I think it could go on both sides. Either the man's not acting like a man and he still runs back to mama, or mama is a helicopter. Like I'm just saying, I think there's two sides. Like it can happen. Problems can happen on both ends of the spectrum.
But I just never really thought of it, that you got to be prepared to let go. Yeah, to prepare to let go. And as we're getting ready to have hopefully kids in marriage age soon, and ready to send them off.
For yourself.
Yeah, I say I got a 1-year-old. I'm good.
All right. Well, listen, we got another one coming up this week. We moved from the wedding to the honeymoon, so you don't want to miss that one. So, I forgot to say I'm not going to be here this week. So
yeah, no. It's Thursday. So no.
I'll preach it.
Travis is ready.
So if you thought that my wedding video was awesome, wait till you watch the honeymoon video this week. Of
Travis' skin just crawled.
No, so don't forget to be here this Sunday. Invite some friends. It's going to be really exciting to see how the Lord lets us in on that really intimate moment. So you want to be here for that. Also, Sarah's got some great announcements. I want you to watch this for a second.
Thanks, guys. The weather's getting cooler, and that means it's time for another fall event. This one, though, is specifically for our first students. One of our fastest growing ministries here at First Baptist is our youth programming from 6th grade to 12th grade, and we have an event just for them this week. We are hosting a youth bonfire, and we want them to be there. This is going to be happening out of the Marlins on Thursday, October the 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30, and we hope you'll join us. Invite your friends, invite your brothers and sisters. Join us for this year's First Students Bonfire.
So that's going to be an awesome service, or guys, not service really. What is it? It's
Fellowship.
Just like a fellowship, yeah. To have our kids, our youth, time to. What did they do last year? They had a ball, didn't they?
Yeah, we did like pumpkin launching and great food and hay rides, all of it. Yeah.
So listen, all the youth that are out there, man, that's a big event. You want to definitely come to that one. That's a fun one. Well, listen, this is kind of our time where we kind of talk about topics in the world, topics that are affecting our church members and all that kind of stuff. And I think this one is one I've had several talk to me about, and actually one I think you and I are dealing with currently as well. And this is children and salvation. So how do you know when kids are ready to be saved? Now that's how do you deal with that?
I think it's really hard for us because our kids hear it every day.
Yeah.
They know the words, they know what to say. And kids getting saved is tough anyway because they're kids. They're going to mess up a lot. They're going to do things. They're going to look like kids. But I don't know. I've heard a lot of stories of adults that got saved when they were really young. But then their testimony sounds something like, but then I was a teenager and realized that, I had no clue what I was talking about. I just wanted to get baptized because my friend was or something like that. And it's like 99% of the stories that I hear.
Yeah, that's right.
It's up there.
There's interesting. I was doing some research on this. There's only like 2 Baptist theological books on children and salvation. One was written in 1953. It was called Winning Children. The other was written in 1970, called Children and Conversion. That is until the newest one came out in 2025, Children and Salvation. So really, there's not a whole lot of information on this. But I think this is a topic that needs to be discussed because we have, especially for us, we have so many kids in our church. And for me as a pastor, this is such a hard one because I'm not the one to make really the decision. I think for me, it's a parent's decision more than anything. They know the child. I love D.L. Moody. He said, if I could relive my ministry, I would spend my entire ministry on reaching kids for God. I think that was interesting. But then if you're going to reach kids, how do you do it? How do you know someone if they're, Al Mohler on the briefing the other day said, he had it written in, can my 3.5-year-old accept Christ? And he had an interesting take on that, but let me ask, what if you heard that? What would be your take if you heard that? That's an awesome
A
man.
3.5.
What was Mueller's take?
Yeah.
What did he say?
So, well, first of all, Mueller, he gave an illustration. He says he learned from W.A. Criswell. So W.A. Criswell was pastor at First Baptist Dallas. And he said, I love what W.A. Criswell did. He was at a service, and a young boy walked down to W.A. at the end of the service to come forward to say he wanted to accept Christ as a Savior, to know he wanted to profess faith. And W.A. kind of led the boy in front of the congregation and just simply said, this little boy, and he kind of said his name, he said, he's just taken a step to know Jesus. He loves Jesus, and he wants to follow Jesus, and we want to encourage him in that. And that's kind of all he said. So he wasn't like necessarily saying he's made a decision to be saved, but he also wasn't discouraging the boy by saying, you're too young, you don't know what you're doing. So he was just kind of saying, it's good to encourage. And I think and I try to do that as well. Like if kids come to my office and their parents are there with me, I'm always trying to, hey, this is a good thing. That your kids are even asking these questions, that's a good thing. Yeah. Keep pushing this, keep opening the conversation, keep talking about it. But they need to know what they're asking. So let me ask that. Were you going to say something first?
No, go on.
I was going to say,
I'm just thinking.
Well, let's ask that. What then do they need to know in order to be saved?
Well, I think one thing I've always heard, and I might have heard it from you, when it comes to witnessing to certain people, like adults, they know they're sinners, right? Like they know they've messed up in their life. They know they've done things they regret. They know things that they've done that's gone against God. And they reckon, like, I do need a Savior. But the believing in God who they've never seen, trusting in the God of Scripture is hard for them, right? And so we have to teach them the Word and show them Jesus truly is the Son of God, right? But then when it comes to kids, they do believe, right? They believe in God. They believe in the stories easier, I think. But I think sometimes a lot with kids, like they don't see themselves as sinners.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I think part of the step when it comes to sharing the gospel with kids is helping them see, like, this is why you need saving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is who you really are apart from Christ. You have done things wrong. You have chosen not to obey God. You've chosen not to honor mom and dad, right? And because of that, there are consequences for your sin, which is, so I think the first aspect when it comes with kiddos is just helping them understand, like, who the Bible says that you are. Not who you think you are, not who your parents tell you who you are. You know, if they're
You're not a good person.
You're not a good person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even if you're 6 years old. Like, I have a 1-year-old. And it's just more and more, like, I've come to the understanding, like, he's not perfect. You know, like, when you're holding him when he's little and he doesn't make a sound, you know, it's like, oh, what could go wrong with this guy? But now it's like, dude, quit throwing a fit. Like, get up. You know what I'm saying? So I think when it comes to sharing the gospel with kids, and for me, one of the steps I kind of like, oh, maybe they are ready, is when they like are broken and they're like, I need saving because I'm not right.
Yeah, I kind of go down a list. I say, first, know what sin is.
Yeah.
Second, know that I am a sinner.
Yep.
Third, know that I have sinned against God. You know, and all three of those are kind of they're separate.
Yeah.
You know, so know what sin is. First, I've done something that God doesn't like.
Yep.
That's kind of my little quick definition. I am that.
Yep.
You know, because a lot of times people can say, "Oh, I know what sin is," but my brother's the one. You know?
Yeah.
Kids can point out somebody else's sin more than they can point out there, but they got to understand that I am the sinner. And then the third thing, I've sinned against God. You know, and that's the one where it really comes into play. It's not that I've hurt my mom or I've made my brother sick. I've kind of sinned against God. And then the fourth thing is, all right, well then, how does that get solved? And the answer is Jesus. Jesus is the one who comes and rescues. Jesus is the one who comes and solves that problem of sin. And if you can get those four things really in a child's mind. But let me throw this out to you, because this is a word that we hear around Baptist, especially the age of accountability.
I was going to ask you about that.
I'm glad I asked you instead of you asking me.
I don't know much about it.
What is the age of accountability?
Well, I think it goes back to like a Jewish tradition, when they have the bar mitzvah and that kind of thing, because they turn, 13, I think is when they have it. And so I think, don't quote me, but I think from what I can remember, it's like, up until that point, they're considered a child, and so I think, they believe like if that child dies, like they'll go to heaven because they're not accountable for what they have done because they were a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's I know some pretty bad first graders that know they're bad first graders. So I don't know that I don't know if Scripture necessarily does it say a specific number. I'm not aware of a number. Do you guys know a number? I don't know.
And
I don't think you're not saying it's a number.
No, I'm not saying he's saying it's a number, but I'm saying it's just like, does the Bible really give us a firm?
I think it may be different.
I don't think it does.
No, the Bible doesn't give us a number, but the Bible does. I think people, like you said, people do kind of use the Bible as examples. For example, like Jesus, when he was teaching at the synagogues, he was 12.
Yeah.
So he was 12 at the synagogues. Or in the Old Testament, in Deuteronomy, the children of Israel, 12 and under, were not held responsible for the sins of the wandering in the wilderness. So that's another one. Like, they weren't held responsible, so that you can kind of think of it that way as well. And like you said, they weren't adults until they were 13. I don't put obviously there's not an age. I don't think there is an age to it. Every child is different. I think it comes to an understanding. What is the age of accountability? Here's how you answer. It's the age of understanding.
Yeah.
The age of accountability is the age of understanding. When does someone understand what those gospel things are? So another thing that we do, I think, is important is we let the kids watch Lord's Supper.
Yeah.
We let the kids watch baptism. I love it that they're in there watching these things because these are all pictures of the gospel, right? Mm-hmm. So let me close kind of by telling our parents, if you're watching this, things, don't pressure your kids. Just let them be the ones who come to you. And then secondly, if they come to you, make sure that they're ready. Make sure that they know. In fact, I've got kids. My 6-year-old has come to me numerous times. I mean, like 30 times probably. I mean, after every baptism in the last year, she probably is going to be, I want to be baptized. I want to be baptized. And I'll tell you, all right, well, tell me about baptized. Tell me about baptism. Tell me about salvation. And she's just not there. She wants to be baptized, but she doesn't know what. But she's not ready to be saved.
They're close.
Close.
Ivy does that too. Yeah. And we say, talk to Jason.
and listen, I've got great, and parents too. I've got great books. I've got great resources. Like, you go through these. I've got these books that they can go through, and you go through them together. I think parents and a child going through these books together is so helpful, so good. But we want to train our kids up in the righteousness.
Well,
right?
Like you said when we first started, right? We want to support them.
Yeah.
We want to guide them.
Let me close in kind of that one verse, and this would be a good way to close this. Ephesians chapter 6 tells us this as parents. Actually, it's fathers, really. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4 says this. Fathers, don't stir up anger in your children, but bring them up in the training and the instruction of the Lord. So that's really our job, especially as fathers. We are to bring them up in the training and the instruction of the Lord. So starting young. In fact, so when do you start that?
Day one.
Say pray over them.
While they're in the womb.
Yeah.
Pray over them,
Absolutely.
sing to them, and just tell them they're God's creation. All right. Good deal. Good seeing you guys. Can't wait to see you Sunday. Thanks for watching again, and make sure you subscribe and pass this on. See you guys.